Hello, I'm Benjamin Limmer, Bureau Chief for Public Transportation at the Connecticut Department of Transportation, and I'd like to welcome you to Along the Lines, a podcast series where we'll share exciting news and updates and explore current issues and ideas on Connecticut's public transportation system. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Along the Lines. I'm your host, Ben Limmer. The Connecticut Department of Transportation has set an ambitious goal, electrifying the entire state-owned bus fleet by 2035. This forward-thinking initiative represents a significant stride toward lowering our carbon footprint, addressing the challenges of global climate change, and enhancing air quality throughout our state. We understand that accomplishing this monumental task will require time and careful planning. However, the steps we are taking today are laying the foundation for a more sustainable future. Excitingly, battery electric buses are already making their mark in the various regions of Connecticut. Additionally, several of our facilities are currently being upgraded to charge and maintain the battery electric buses, with planning underway to upgrade the remaining bus maintenance facilities to accommodate an all-electric fleet. And today, we are thrilled to discuss these electrification endeavors and their wide-reaching benefits. Joining me for the conversation are Rahmane Camara, Battery Electric Bus Project Manager at the CTDOT, and Carmine Fiore, Regional Sales Manager of New Flyer. New Flyer is producing the electric buses in use by the state of Connecticut. Welcome to the program. So, Rahmane, start with you. Rolling out the electric buses is not an overnight endeavor. What changes are necessary in the bus facilities to transition to electric vehicles while maintaining the existing diesel fleet?
Well, Ben, thank you for the question. As you noted, this is a monumental task and we have our work cut out for us. So, electrifying our state, there's two branches of it. We have both the facility side and the vehicle side. On the facility side, one of the main things that we need to do is coordinate with the utilities. The utilities, both Eversource and UI, have to be able to bring the power into the facility, the necessary power to be able to electrify these, not only the transit fleet, but also maintain general operations at these transit districts and facilities. We work on also upgrading our existing switch gears and switchboards and upgrading the current transformers to the necessary level of kVA to be able to support the chargers that are out there, the Siemens and the ABBs and the Helioxes of the world. On the vehicle side, once the facility has enough power to be able to regularly charge these buses, we are taking an active step to training our workforce to be able to understand and operate these electric buses because they're different from existing diesel fleets. So they need to be trained on the nuances of the electric buses, how to maintain them properly, and as well as what to do to maximize state of charges. So that's some of the stuff that we're working on. And we also have to work with our planning department to come up with a nice planning or blue block structure to be able to roll out these buses and get the public on them and get as much efficiency as we can.
The first battery electric buses made their debut at one of our local transit district partners in Bridgeport in 2021. So, Rahmane, what lessons were learned with the rollout of these buses?
Well, there was a lot of lessons learned rolling out these electric buses. So Greater Bridgeport Transit Authority received two battery electric buses early 2021, and they were in operation for the remainder of 2021. And our Connecticut Transit branded services, CT Transit in Hampton, also received 12 battery electric buses there, and they've also been running them. So we had a lot of lessons learned from our first as a state department engaging with battery electric buses and having them on the road. One of the main things is, so the Bridgeport buses were 440 kilowatt hours. So this is the battery capacity for these buses. And the ones that we have in Hamden are 525 kilowatt hours. So this is about twice or three times larger than your average Teslas and general Prius or different type of electric vehicles that are out there. So one of the things that we tried to understand was how the kilowatt hours and the state of charge, which is what electric buses go by, translates into mileage and hours, because that's what we need to be able to be mindful of and operate them and figure out which blocks to put them on so they can actually stay out there picking on the road, picking up passengers and dropping them off. And we've seen from the data that we've seen from these buses that electric buses are doing somewhere between 160, 180, and sometimes even up to 200 off of a one single overnight charge. This is currently not still 1-to-1 with diesel, because those go up to 250 to 60. However, we've seen that there's a trend where the battery technology is getting better, and different driving style, climates, terrain improved and maximize state of charge efficiency to be able to get these buses to a point where we can translate them to diesel buses. Another of the things that we learned was training. Training was also very important, because we needed to make sure that the operators were well equipped with the trainers, with the training that they need to be able to ride these buses, drive these buses in different terrains. The maintenance staff was also onboarded with an amazing training curriculum provided by the New Flyer, and as well as the first responder training was able to train our local responders on understanding the battery technology and what to do in the case of an emergency with a battery electric bus.
So, Carmine, the benefits of battery electric buses are often tied to the environmental benefits, and those are absolutely critical. But what other benefits will our passengers see with battery electric buses versus your typical diesel buses?
Well, there's a couple of benefits that I think your passengers will feel when riding or waiting for an electric bus. Uh, the one obvious one would be while they're on the bus and the bus is actually in motion. A New Flyer bus is rated one of the quietest based on Altoona testing in the industry. So the interior of the bus will be more quiet than, say, what a diesel bus is currently at this time. And of course, while waiting for the bus, again, the bus will be quiet as far as in the area where the passengers are. And the obvious zero emission electric bus versus a diesel bus, which would be, discharging emissions from it, is definitely another benefit for the passengers either waiting for the bus or in the area of where the bus stop is or running. So those are, I think, two of the major benefits for passengers boarding an electric bus versus a diesel bus.
So, Carmine, how vital are electric buses in our urban communities?
Electric buses in urban communities, high density areas, you're talking about the more electric buses that replace diesel buses, you'll see a reduction in greenhouse gases. There's some estimated numbers for diesel buses, electric versus diesel buses could be up to 108 tons per year. For diesel hybrid buses, up to 70 tons per year. Again, these are estimates depending on the area the electric buses are running. But I mean, I think those are the two major advantages to having electric buses running in urban, high density communities in Connecticut and anywhere throughout the United States. The benefit, getting back to the bus being quiet, obviously, operating the buses in the exterior of the bus, making any type of noise compared to a diesel bus will again be a plus for any any community that the buses are operated in.
Rahmane, can you fill in our listeners on what they can expect within the next year?
We have a legislative requirement to electrify our fleet by the year 2035. So because of that, we've taken an ambitious stand on making sure that the facilities understand that we're bringing electric buses to them. But the facility side of it is one of the main, I guess, key components to getting us to that stage. So in the upcoming year, we are working on fully electrifying our Stanford division, which is on par to be the first division in the state to be able to fully house 100% of electric buses. In the next year, also, we'll also be receiving 49 other electric vehicles that are ordered through New Flyer. These are expected to begin trickling in May of 2024. And these buses will be going throughout the entire state. So they'll be going to Stanford, Hamden, Hartford, Waterbury, Milford, Middletown, and even in the Wyndham region, that will be serving the Yukon campus. The entire state will be benefiting from the rollout of these electric buses. And on par with not only bringing electric buses to these locations, we'd be able to provide them with the training and the lessons learned that we've uncovered at our time in Hamden. So some of the first responding training, some of the maintenance training that was provided by New Flyer, some of the operators training that was built within our HNS staff, we'll be able to share that with these different divisions as they prepare for electric vehicles so they can hit the ground running and be able to serve the people of Connecticut.
So, Carmine, I would like to hear your insight into what you're seeing trending nationwide on the electrification efforts of buses throughout the industry.
And there's been quite obvious increase in RFPs and procurements to purchase electric buses. Throughout the country, not only in the region we live in, but what we're seeing more of is an interest in possible hybrid buses in the event, again, due to infrastructure and other possible obstacles of agencies just wanting to make sure they're heading in the right direction as far as emissions. But there's definitely been an increase in our production of electric buses, procurement of electric buses, and I'm sure Rahmane can add to this also. Is agencies are just a little bit concerned with converting bus garages over to all electric fleets as soon as possible. But there's definitely been an increase in activity for zero emission electric buses.
So, Rahmane, have you received any public feedback on the new electric buses? And if so, what have you heard or seen?
Yes, there have been since we rolled these out in early 2022, at least the CT trained branded buses. There's been a lot of public feedback, a lot of positive public feedback on electric buses. I think most citizens are very excited that Connecticut is going towards a green new solution to have, and the fact that the buses are much more quieter and at smoother rides is an added bonus to it. So most people are very receptive to the new change, and they are very excited about the direction that we're going as a department. And to comment on what Carmine was saying, yes, there's been a little bit of back and forth with agencies trying to get to a point where they're comfortable with rolling out electric buses. It's not going to be an overnight endeavor, as we've noted, but we're working around the clock to make sure that the operators are well equipped and trained, the maintenance staff are well equipped and trained, and we're creating a workforce development crew so that way we know what to expect with electric buses. We've been operating diesel buses for 100 years, but electric vehicles is an entire different animal. It's not just putting fuel into an engine and mechanically having it roll. Now you have to put power into a facility, manage how much power is coming out of the grid and into the bus and mitigate that. And it's almost like a new computer in a sense. So we'd have to put the right people in place to be able to operate them. And that brings a little bit of anxiety at times, I'm sure, but we're working around the clock to make sure that people have what they need to do the job right.
Yeah, perfect segue. So, rolling out new technology is bound to come with some, unique challenges. I'd like to ask both of you, what challenges do you anticipate in regard to the 2035 goal? And what do you think is the best solution to meet those challenges? Maybe
Rahmane, do you
start
want me to
with
go first?
Yeah, lead the way. Let's go, Carmine.
Okay. There's definitely more challenges delivering and getting electric buses into active service, which we encounter and we resolve as soon as possible. Moving forward, I mean, we're hopeful that as we get more accustomed and ready to move forward into what will be probably 100% electric bus fleets going in the future to overcome those and just like we deliver any other type bus, the bus gets delivered and placed into service. And that would be from the bus side perspective. But I guess the challenge that I think for going zero emissions, again, I would say is actually having the capability of charging buses in proper time frames, getting facilities prepared to charge maybe up to 200 buses in say one say day/evening. These are obstacles that have to be overcome to convert fleets to zero emissions by goals of 2035 in any region of the country. But I could say one quick story that shed some light on getting that accomplished. I was with a gentleman with NYPA, New York Power Authority, and we were talking about the grid and getting this accomplished. And he did say to me, back in the 60s and 70s, how many people actually had air conditioning, which was probably a low number. I mean, me being my age, yeah, I remember that. I mean, it wasn't as prominent as it is now. He says, well, now how many buildings don't? So with that type of scenario, I mean, the grid grew to successfully, like I said, pretty much air condition most of the country. This is probably something that will take time, but will be accomplished.
Great. I couldn't have said it better myself. Yes. So we've talked a little bit about some of the facility challenges earlier on. So now I want to talk about another challenge that we've been facing as an agency trying to electrify is workforce development. As we're branching into this new area with staff and engineers need to be attentive. There's no developed process on how it can be done. It's still being developed now. So we're all kind of going to school at the same time. That being said, the low no emissions program or grants that we receive from FTA do have a section in there dedicated to workforce development. So our team here at the Connecticut DOT is working with the SCSU system, the Connecticut State and College and University System, Gateway, to sort of come up with a workforce development that will be able to support our electrification program over the next decade. So this is also creating jobs in a great way. Another hurdle that may be a challenge in a way is how to charge these buses, as Carmine alluded to. So charging 10, 12, or 15 buses is very different from charging 200 buses. And one of the things that we've seen in the industry from the West Coast to certain areas in the Midwest of what they've done is they've they've procured certain charge management softwares to be able to speak to these buses, as I noted that they are almost like computers, speak to the buses and saying, this is how much charge you'll be able to get. This is how much you need to be able to get to be able to meet your route once you pull out at 5 a.m. or once you pull out at 10 a.m. So being able to program these ahead of time would be something that we can work with along with how our designers and our consultants is coming up with different modeling to be able to put these buses to better use rather than just having them in the typical way how we've used diesel in the past. So that's those are some of the challenges, and we are working around the clock. We have a great team of consultants, of engineers, of problem solvers and innovators here. We have a great innovative leadership team here who supports our vision, and we're on par to get to this goal.
So thank you both. So finally, Rahmane, if any of our listeners want to take a ride on a battery electric bus, where can they do so right now throughout Connecticut?
If you were in Connecticut, get to New Haven and get to Stanford, and you'll be able to ride one of these exciting new electric buses.
I would like to thank our guests, Carmine Fiore from New Flyer and Rahmane Camara from the Connecticut Department of Transportation. New and improved technology in the public transportation sector has exploded in the past decade, revolutionizing the industry. Battery electric buses are just one example of how the Connecticut Department of Transportation is embracing new technology to provide a top-tier public transportation network that Connecticut's residents deserve. These efforts will enhance the transportation experience for our valued customers, and they will contribute to the overall well-being and sustainability of the entire state. Together, we are taking a bold step towards a cleaner, greener future. I'm Ben Limmer. Join us next time for another episode of Along the Lines. Thanks for listening to this episode of Along the Lines. This is your host, Benjamin Limmer. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please remember to subscribe and share.